Are you ready? The Kornelia Stephanie Show. Wake up to love, your call to action. Join Kornelia as she empowers others to live heaven on earth. Kornelia teaches listeners how to be the authority over yourself, embracing your inner guru. Feel yourself uplifted into limitless expansion, integrating ease and grace in a changing world. This show will cover topics such as unconditional love, your physical body, how to be in extraordinary relationships, create financial and emotional wealth, embracing entrepreneurship in the new earth. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Kornelia Stephanie Show. It's an honor and a pleasure to be with you today. We have our beautiful stories of hope. Especially now at this time on the planet, we need these stories so that we can be inspired just when we're ready to give up on whatever the challenges are, that we hear a story, we hear how another person went into the deepest, darkest places and found a way to rise up out of it. And that is how my first guest today, Anna, which listen to her name, Anna Leah Luna Raven. That's my guest today. Anna Leah Luna Raven is an emerging writer from Perth, Western Australia. She grew up and spent most of her adult years in the Philippines until she immigrated to Australia to be with her then fiance and now her husband in 2012. She grew up in a Catholic family and she graduated from the University of the Philippines with a communications degree. She began writing at a very young age. She has various published works, online journals, magazines, collections, as well as a self-published book entitled Conversations I Never Had with Luna and Other Stories. Welcome to the show today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, it's so great to have you. So you are a writer and a storyteller and an educator. You've traveled around the world. And so where are you currently in Australia or are you?
Yes, I am.
My God, what time is it over there?
Oh, it's 4 4
In the
in the
morning,
morning.
4 o'clock in the morning?
Yes.
You are a hero.
Thank you so much.
You are a hero. I mean, who gets up at, you had to get up at 3 or 3:30 to come to this call.
Yes.
And so we appreciate you. So you and I were talking about it in the break that you have a particular inspiration you want to share today about depression.
Yes, that's right. Well, my story really started when I was diagnosed with depression back in 2002. After a stint in the call center industry, I felt burnt out. I got burnt out working and doing work late nights because our clients were based in the US. So, and then I was in and out of hospital for about like 7 years off and on. And then I met my husband, and that made me more depressed. No, just kidding. But yeah, I came to Australia in 2012, and then obviously it's a whole new country, it's a whole new life, whole new culture, and being away from family and friends and the support that I needed, I got into another breakdown or a meltdown. So I had no direction, I had no job, and I was basically like I didn't wasn't taking my tablets at that time. So I shut down emotionally and physically, like I did not talk to anyone, I did not go out. Um, like I did not communicate. I just basically, even the TV and the radio was bugging me, so I couldn't stand it. And I just basically wrote my thoughts experiences and feelings and emotions down. And my husband had to take care of me for about 3 months, just to be like there for me, be my carer. And eventually I went to a specialist and he found out that I was on a cocktail of medication or drugs. And then he basically brought it down to just 2 tablets. And then after about a couple of weeks after that, I it was like the darkness lifted and like I was functioning again, and, finally I got the medication right, and now I speak from a place of wellness and joy and love, and, just recently, like this year, I've self-published my book, which is entitled Conversations I Never Had with Luna and Other Stories. It is a collection of poems and short stories, which basically, most of it I wrote during my battle with depression. So it was like a journal of what I've gone through. And it's just basically saying to the world that you are not alone, that whatever you did go through, if you did go through something like I did, you can bounce back from it. So yeah, so that was basically it. And now I'm doing poetry readings. I've been published on several, like you said earlier, I've been published on several publications and journals. And then I've got now my website and podcast and blog. Yeah, so I've been busy while I'm also working for a local government
Wow.
at this time. Yeah, so it's just like m manifesting good things as well helped. So that was a big plus. And now I'm a big advocate of meaningful conversations and how it is very important for us to like talk about our feelings and emotions and thoughts and experiences, obviously. Um, yeah, so that is it. And
Well, I
it,
just I just find it extraordinary, first of all, that you were on a cocktail of
yes,
medication. That
that,
basically what you were like taking um, more medications, different medications that weren't right for you and that were basically suppressing you. So like numbing everything down, like stopping everything. That's why you everything was just probably too much for you. So everything was completely
that,
suppressed and depressed. And
that's right.
right, it's suppressed and depressed, with the medication, because really that is when we look at where we've come from, like from our past, what our past conditioning has been. Whenever we would go to the medical system, we would go there with, we have a problem, we have something going on with us, like we don't
Mhm.
feel good or whatever it is. And then right away the medical system is trained to write a prescription and try to find what it is so that you can basically feel better, is what it is. But we know now that it's really a moneymaker. It was a moneymaker because that's just what that was about. But
Yeah,
instead of the medical system asking you what's going on at home, what have you been feeling, what are you feeling, and
mm,
really investigating in that direction, like what is the reason why you're depressed, what is
mm,
the reason why you feel withdrawn and drawn in. And
yes.
we were talking about this in the break because you were saying that depression affects women. Like what was it that you said about that?
Yes, basically, in general, statistics say that more women are depressed and anxious than men, but more men commit suicide than women. It's probably because more women get to talk about their feelings and emotions rather than men do, and they get undiagnosed because of that. Like unwillingness to speak out and everything. But for women, like it's easier for us, I guess, to speak about things like even taboo things like these, like
Well,
depression.
yeah, because the um, men have always been conditioned to suck it up and get on with it and get on to
Yes,
work and go do this thing instead of honoring that men have feelings and that
yes,
men cry. I mean, they're human beings, right? We all have
exactly.
feelings.
Exactly. And just to add to that medical money maker, I mean, it is really good that you seek advice and help from like medical professionals if you do feel unwell or ill. But, just probably try and get a second opinion or go to several people just so you have a better idea of what really is going on.
I think that's really good advice to get a second opinion because that is the main thing. And basically, even, you know that you came here to live. You came here to live and you came here to be well. And that's what you came here to experience. And
Yeah.
now, especially now in our evolution, we get to also say, I want to take the reins on my own healing and I really want to heal this, whatever this is. And I'm going to find the right people, the right doctors, the right people that are on my team and that
Yeah.
are working together with me to get to the bottom of this. So I want to be able to tell the audience, because we just have a couple minutes left, to let them know where they can get your book and then also where they can look you up on social media and possibly, tune into your podcast and all the other wonderful things that you're doing.
Yes, thank you so much for that. And I can be reached through my website, www.conversationsIneverhadwithluna.com. And you can, where you can find or check out my book, Conversations I Never Had with Luna and Other Stories, which is available mainly on Amazon.
Mhm.
So there's three formats there, the hardcover, the paperback, and the ebook, which you can get. And I also have a podcast called Moonlight Conversations, the podcast. It's available on YouTube, Anchor, Spotify, and other media. Yeah,
Good. Well, I
thank
just
you
think
so
it's
much.
phenomenal what you've achieved. Publishing a book, self publishing a book, starting a podcast, doing all the writing that you're doing, educating others, and expressing your true feelings, in the way that you are. It's heroic. So
Thank you so much.
it is you honoring yourself now, and you get to share it with others, and that is a real true story of hope. And I'm so glad that you came on today to share this. And we want to be
Thank
able to, right? We want to be able to let the audience know that they are not alone, and that if they find themselves in a state of depression, that there is hope out there, and that you didn't come here to be depressed, but really taking a look at what's underneath that depression. Why are you feeling low? Why?
Yes, come from a place of abundance. Just think about abundance all the time and manifest it in your life. And basically, just you will thrive because of that. And basically, be resilient, confident in yourself, and do your passion, which I'm doing now.
You are doing. Congratulations. Thank you so much, Anna, Leah, Luna, Raven, for coming on the Cornelia Stephanie Show. We appreciate you.
Thank
And
you so much for having me again.
yes, and we're going to take a break and we'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. I'm so excited to introduce us to our next guest. She is Annie McDowell, a New York State licensed acupuncturist with a focus on relieving stress related ailments, a longtime children's book editor, and she knows how deadline pressures and creative burnout impact physical and emotional health. She's interested in helping us understand the unique story of our health condition, treating the root causes, and empowering us to transform our narrative from pain to healing. Welcome to the show today, Annie McDowell. Donald, I'm
Thank
sorry.
you. That's okay. Thank you so much, Cornelia. I'm happy to be here.
Yes, so wonderful. So, how did you get started in this, and what's the passion? Like, what is it that you really want to focus on now with this conversation today?
Well, one of the inspirations I'd like to share is just how transformation is possible in any moment. I still am actually. I'm a longtime children's book editor, but in my 40s, I went back to school to become an acupuncturist. And since then, I've been on a journey to help other people um, get the courage to make shifts in a healing direction.
Right. So, I'm curious, how long was that schooling to become an acupuncturist?
It's a minimum 3 years full time. It can be 4 years if you do an herbal medicine program as well.
Yeah, and so the guest that we just had on previously, she was talking about depression, how she,
Mhm,
suffered from depression, and how a lot of women, in particular, are affected by depression, but men too, and that men end up committing suicide. And
mm,
so this is all part of what you would be able to help people with is healing that root cause of depression, isn't it?
mhm. Definitely. There's so much. There's so much you can do on your own with self-care tools, but also working with a healthcare practitioner who's compassionate and who sees you as a whole human being. Our nervous systems evolved to regulate with each other. So I do a lot of sound healing in my work. I do sound bath and I do hands-on sound therapy. And part of that is helping you to kind of vibrate with someone who's vibrating at a peaceful harmonious level, and if you're a little off kilter, it really helps to be in the company of someone who's rooting for you and who can be calm and steady while you're kind of figuring things out.
Yes. So what do you feel like when you were, because you were a children's book editor,
Mhm,
and so that's really awesome because children, to have children's books out there is
mhm,
really, really important for our children. And
mhm.
so what do you feel was the direction that you were called in to go back to and become an acupuncturist?
Well, a lot of things led me to it. I didn't really have it took me like more than 10 years to make the commitment. I kept talking myself out of it and thinking that I couldn't figure out how to make it work financially or time wise or energy wise. Um, but I felt called. I loved what I was doing, but I was with the same company for more than 15 years and feeling very burnt out by the deadlines and the the office politics and the work stress. And I knew there was something more in me. I had given hospice care to one of my cats, and so I had direct hands-on experience with learning to give injections and doing, like some mild nursing. And it gave me some confidence in my abilities. And then it also showed me how emotionally satisfying it is to work with people in that way and to really help people one-on-one through difficult moments. So I kind of deliberated for a long time. Many different things pointed me towards acupuncture. And I had had it myself after 9/11. So I knew how powerful it was that I went to it seeking help for asthma when the air quality was so bad after 9/11. But what I discovered was that it also helped me process the grief and the trauma of that experience. So it really works on many different levels. So it was very appealing to me. It just took me a long time to kind of work up the courage to give it a try.
Yeah. Well, congratulations. I think it's wonderful. I also, I mean, this is an ancient healing modality that's been around
Hmm.
for, such a long time. And I think it's wonderful when you can find a practitioner such as yourself that you can work with a person who, the both of you, are on the same team. And
Hmm.
again, with, looking at what is the root cause of this, what is the root cause, and
Hmm.
then knowing that we're going to go in and we're going to, do the acupuncture, and we're going to relieve the um, the imbalance that was caused by whatever the situation is. And I
Hmm.
think that's wonderful when a person has the consciousness of wanting to heal from the root, right?
Hmm.
that's
Yeah.
that's where it really can help. So how does it work? So you currently have a practice, you mentioned, in Manhattan,
Hmm.
where
Yes.
people can come and experience sessions with you in person. So tell
Mhm.
us about how does that work?
Well, I also do some virtual sessions too, not with acupuncture, but Chinese medicine encompasses many different things. It includes qigong and meditation and breath work and acupressure massage. So I do some virtual sessions where I lead people through some self-care tools and some meditation and some sound healing. I also do some grief counseling because through my own personal grief experience, I've gotten some training in helping people walk that path. But when you see me in person, I work with a lot of sound tools as well. So I'll be using tuning forks and singing poles so you feel the sound vibration on acupuncture points. And I love treating people who have never had acupuncture before because I like to explain step by step what you can expect and what you can feel. Most people find it very relaxing, and some people even fall asleep on the table. It
Yeah.
allows you to really go deep into that healing state when you turn off the stress response.
Yeah, I think it's, being relaxed, really allowing the
Mhm.
physical body to relax is one of our best states to be in, to receive, to heal.
Mhm.
And, I think this is wonderful what you're doing. I was going to ask you next, are
Mhm.
you doing this online as well? But you answered that already. So
Mhm.
let's tell the audience how they can find you now to do some virtual sessions, like if they're interested in learning more about your work. Do you offer free consultations, or how does that work?
I don't offer free consultations, but people can feel free to email me with any questions and we can communicate to see if it would be a good fit. I do offer once a month on the last Tuesday of every month, I offer a free collective grief circle where I share a little, people are open to share what they're bothered about in terms of maybe there's some news stories going on that's weighing heavy on your mind or a personal grief experience. And that includes a sound bath and guided meditation. So that's on my website. People can sign up for free there. My website's joyalchemyhealing.com.
Joyalchemyhealing.com. Sometimes when people are listening to the Cornelia Stephanie show, they are driving. And so then
Mhm.
that's why we have to make sure that we say it, because then that way it'll ring back in their memory bank. So
Mhm.
wonderful. What do you want to leave us with? We have just a few minutes before we
Mhm.
go to break. What would you like to leave us with? What do you want to say to people today?
I'd like to tell people that the possibilities are so much more open and endless than you can imagine. That healing is like peeling an onion.
Mm.
And you don't have to do it all at once. Once you start peeling back one layer, you open up some space to peel back another layer. You can totally go at your own pace with the support of people who have been there or who have experience to support you. So it's not, it's a marathon, not a sprint. But once you start on that healing journey, you'd be surprised how much joy is possible.
Yeah, it is a lot of joy. It is a lot of joy peeling the onion. At first, it may not feel that good, but you know, a
Hmm.
lot of us,
Yeah.
we were talking about this yesterday in one of our meetings, that you know, humanity um, that hasn't realized that in order for us to get to the other side of whatever the condition is, whatever the situation is, sometimes there's pain that we
Hmm.
have to feel,
Right.
and it hurts. It hurts.
Yeah.
And to realize, to just know this is going to hurt, this is going to hurt,
Hmm.
and it's really okay to sit in, whether it's emotional pain like grief or loss, or whatever the part of the onion that is presenting itself to you, there might be pain there, and we've been
Hmm.
so used to avoiding it, covering it
Yeah.
up either with medication or any type of addiction, emotional eating, or
Hmm.
gambling, or whatever it might be, distracting ourselves from really feeling what is there to feel.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyway, it's wonderful the work that you're doing. I'm so glad that you came on the show today to tell us about your passion and what it is that you're doing, helping people heal. Definitely check out Annie McDonnell if you feel that you want to explore uh, more of the healing modalities, but also the grief work that she's helping people with in her once a month session. So thank you so much, Annie McDonnell, for coming on the show today. And we're going to take a break and we'll be right
Great.
back. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. My next guest is DeShaun Williams. He's the owner and operator of DeShaun Williams Industries, LLC, where he's a motivational speaker, published author, podcast host, and mentor. He's also the co founder and executive director for Hope in Heart, nonprofit, where he serves as a mental health and suicide prevention advocate from South Carolina. Welcome to the show today, DeShaun Williams.
Hey, thank you for having me. It's definitely an honor to be on the show. I'm a little nervous, but it's that's good because I know that this is gonna bring a lot of value. So
Absolutely. So it's very inspiring to me to have someone like you that's 24 years old and has this LLC that you're running, and you're a motivational speaker. You're already in your passion, you're already in your service, you're already in your gifts. So you your passion also is to be a suicide prevention advocate. So what got you started in that? Was it because you felt suicidal? Did you have this experience yourself?
so what actually got me advocating is the fact that I have been at 2018, September 2018, I actually did go to the hospital for attempted suicide. And while I was in the hospital, it was kind of it was still depressing because we're not allowed to have anything. Even the shower stays on, I think, for like 30 seconds at a time. So it's like, okay, what can I do? But knowing that having a psychiatrist come in and tell you, hey, Mr. Williams, because you have major depression, you won't be able to make a difference in the world like most people. So, that's something that it kind of, I wouldn't say it triggered me in a bad way, but it definitely triggered me to be like, oh, you said I can't. I'm going to show you why I can do this. But also knowing that a lot of males suffer from depression because of what they want to call tough love. Um, and they're wanting to say, "Oh, well, you're a man, suck it up and shut up and continue moving forward." And they don't allow us to really talk about how we feel mentally.
You know, were you listening to the segment one earlier of the show today?
I was actually getting ready for my segment.
Okay, because everything you were saying, I was saying exactly those words. And that is, in our conditioning, men have not been, uh, allowed, or yeah, I want to say allowed. They've been programmed to suck it up, don't feel, get on with it, go earn the money, go do what you need to, go do what needs to be done. And they have not been allowed to feel their feelings or allowed to talk about it, because it was always perceived as, when we talk about our feelings or we talk about our emotions, is considered weak. And so, and of course, it's not, you're not supposed to be a weak man, and cry and have feelings or have emotions or whatever. And so, and that is also part of it. And so with women, it's easier for women because women get to talk about their emotions, they get to talk about their feelings. So I find that very interesting, because it pretty much word for word everything I said earlier you just said now. So I also love that you got triggered by the psychiatrist that told you that you're not going to make it, basically,
Yes, ma'am.
right? He told you you weren't going to amount to anything. And I bet you that there's people out there in the audience that can listen to this and hear that maybe a teacher in school didn't believe in you, or told you you're never going to amount to anything, or you're not going to make it, or parents even. And now it's a person of authority, and you were so, vulnerable. And so in in his care of the hospital, for someone to say that to you, and then that activated you and triggered you into, well, I'm going to show you how. And you did just that, didn't you?
Yes, ma'am.
So what happened after you left the hospital?
So after I left the hospital, granted, I was working security. I worked full time security. I actually went to work the same day I got out of the hospital. I got called in to work, which was ironic because that was the job that kind of led me to go to the hospital,
Mhm.
working almost 70 hours a week. And so, I went back to work and we ended up losing our
Can I ask
supervisor.
you why you did that? Why did you go? They called, you could have said no.
They did. I could have said no. You're right. I went back because I had something to prove. I had something to prove um to our superior, not my immediate supervisor, but his supervisor. Um, you know, I was 20 years old. I wanted to prove that I was one of his best workers because we had been through at that point my immediate supervisor had quit. So now I'm applying to be supervisor. So I wanted to show, hey, I can come in and I can work this job. I can do whatever it takes to get to this job. But, you know, I continued to work my butt off, not necessarily working 70 hours a week anymore. Kind of dialed back. It went from about 70 to about 50. Granted, there's still a lot of hours in a week, but work 50 hours a week. Um, and ultimately, I did drop out of college. But I ended up starting a podcast and writing poetry books. And that's when the very first poetry book came out. It was roughly 2019 when it came out. Um, but the podcast, I was like, okay, I got to get this out of my head. I got to get this done because it was an idea before I went to the hospital. But after going to the hospital, I was like, I have a story and it needs to be told. And there's probably someone out there been through the exact same thing that I've went through. And now it's time for them to know that if I can get through it, they can get through it as well.
Yes. And so I'm so curious already about a lot of things, but like your poetry, I think that's beautiful that you are writing and expressing yourself through poetry, and also that you started the podcast, and that you basically are fighting for your life. You're standing up for what it is that you believe in. You're standing up for yourself. Now, you're 24 years old now. When you went to the hospital, you were 20, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So that's 4 years ago. So during this time between 20 and 24, has there ever been any other suicidal ideation?
Haven't been, I wouldn't say no. Um, there have been thoughts of when I felt like I was not good enough. Um, but it hasn't gotten back to the point that it was back in 2018, because I know that those times when I feel down, I can ultimately call someone and tell them, "Hey, this is how I feel." And granted, I have some friends that pour into me all levelly, and then I have those that are just like straightforward and like you have too much to live for, and like they will speak their mind. And so some words, I keep it PG most times, so some words I cannot say.
Yeah, yeah. Well, just so you know that many of us have also felt not good enough to rise into our highest and best life and experiences and expression, abundance, whatever you want to call it. So the unworthiness, not good enough core wound, is a condition of our humanity. So, but it sounds like, feels like you have moved, suicide is not an option for you anymore because you have too much to live for. You also created outlets for yourself, the poetry, the nonprofit, and everything that you're doing now to help others, be a speaker, and all the different things that you're doing in your business. And that is a lot to be proud of. So you're a hero. You became your own hero through your own hardship. Would you agree with that?
Yes, ma'am. I would most definitely agree with that.
Yes. So it sounds like you have a strong support system around you, two people that support you and that are there for you, that are reflecting to you and reminding you of your goodness, of your greatness.
Yes, ma'am.
So, what do you want to leave the audience with today? We just have a couple minutes left.
Um,
What do you want to leave them with?
Honestly, what I want to leave them with is, sometimes because I'm big on like stepping out into the unknown, and because that's what I did. Sometimes the fear of the unknown can wrap up around you and make you feel like there's nothing left. But honestly, if you want to be successful, you want to achieve your goals, embrace the unknown. You tackle that fear, because your success lies on the other end.
Do you know that I just have so much respect for you and I admire you so much because you are a future leader of this world. So it's really important that you are out there teaching and talking about what you're talking about because you have your whole life ahead of you, and you know your value, you know your worth, and you're doing it. And it takes a lot of courage. It
Yes, ma'am.
doesn't. It takes a lot of courage. So I'm one of your champions. I'm championing you, and I'm really proud of you for living and for showing up, doing what it is that you're doing. Let's give the audience the social media handles on where they can follow you and support you also.
Yes, ma'am. So my Twitter and Instagram are both at it's DeShaun W, and LinkedIn is DeShaun Williams. Um, YouTube is Unscathed and Thriving, which is also the new name of the podcast. So, um, and of course, Facebook is at it's DeShaun W as well.
So when you go to LinkedIn, make sure that you find me on LinkedIn so we can talk there as well. And
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, but I definitely want to have you on again. I think it's wonderful. You know, have what you're doing. I support what you're doing, and I want to see you thrive, and I want to see you succeed. And thank you for coming on the show today and sharing your story with us,
Thank you for having me.
DeShaun Williams. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. I was so moved by all our stories today, and I'm sure this is going to be the case with our last guest here, Divya Madan. She is an intuitive holistic health and life coach. She combines clairvoyance, Reiki healing, pranic healing, natural herbs, and supplements, along with other energy healing modalities. She also uses your voice, including voice scan technology, to provide clients with a comprehensive view of their mind, body, and life situation. She feels humbled and honored to be able to facilitate thousands of recoveries from physical illness, psychological, personal, financial, and relationship issues in the past 20 years. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show today. How are you?
I'm doing very well. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well too. Thank you. It looks like we are both passionate about healing and restoring back to our true nature. So you have a lot of different healing modalities that you use in your healing practice. So what got you started initially when you started out on this healing journey?
My journey was like happy journey. Like most of the people start with when they had a break, right? And I started with like I got married. My husband was into meditation since he was in eighth grade, and he asked me like we were coding, but he never talked about it when we were and we were very young. Like we were in engineering college together. I was computer science into computer science. He was in mechanical engineering. We got married, and then he's like, you know what? I do meditation. I'm like, what is that? And then slowly he explained it to me, and I got interested. So from our honeymoon, we went to his guru, and it was divine in the Himalayan range. He was residing over there. And from there, my meditative journey started. And after a few years, I felt that then another break came that I got introduced into Reiki healing by my mother. So that was like I had a severe, like I broke my actually big toe. It was literally swollen. And my mom was like, I went to the doctor, I got my meds and everything, and it was 31st December. And my mom said, before you take this meds, can I do something? I'm like, why not? And she took my foot in her hand. I had at that time I had my son was 20 days old. So
Wow.
I was feeding him, and my mom had my feet in her hand, and I completely forgot about it. 7 days later, I found that it was like I had a very little pain. And I'm like, Mom, what did you do? And she's like, did it work? I'm like, yeah, it did. I have not taken any medicine, and I remember it was 31st night. So I went dancing that night and I had no pain. So I'm like, I want to learn this. She's like, okay, so how do we do that? So the teacher was somewhere else. She got the teacher into her home. She paid for like fully paid. She's like, I'm not going to give you any other gift, but I'm going to give this. I'm like, just this. I do not want anything else. So that is how my journey started. And I started practicing very well. So I had to come to US. Like I was already assigned a project in US. I was in India. My son was born, so I did not come with my husband. My husband was here. So before coming, I was suffering from thyroid for 10 years. When I
You were
was
suffering from what?
hypothyroidism.
Oh, hypothyroidism. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was into medication for almost like more than 10 years.
Mm.
So I was not expecting anything. I learned it. I enjoyed it. I was enjoying it. That was it. And before coming here, I thought I'll get all my tests done. And my test was normal. And my doctor said, I cannot put you on medication. Where they were like trying to do like modular testing, like radioactive iodine, this, that, all kinds of things they were working on me, and nothing was working. And all of a sudden, my tests were normal. So I was like, this cannot be right. And they're like, no, we will have to take you off medicine because you're not showing anything. We cannot
Wow.
put you in it. So I was like, okay. Then I went to three different places, three different doctors. Got
Wow.
my, because I had to travel here and I didn't want to take any chances. I did not want to travel without my medication. I was so used to gulping it every morning. So that was my first like wide awakened self. Like this is something more than what is happening. There's something like meditation was like a, yes, I was enjoying meditation. I had premonitions since childhood. I could see things, but I started feeling that with this, my clairvoyance ability was like sharpened. I could do more healing work, but it was still like I was just enjoying as a service, like I was doing my full-time job. I'm a software engineer by profession. So my last job was as a vice president, application development. And from where there, I was, but this healing was my like part of my life. Like I would drive and do the on phone, I will be healing people. I will be lunchtime, I'll be praying for them. While coming back on the driving, I'm praying for the people. So I just like did, because it was like a drive from downtown Pittsburgh to my home was almost 1 hour, and the traffic used to be bad, so it was like slow traffic, and my whole thing was like heal, 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 and I loved doing it. I never thought it will become my profession,
Huh.
but life changes. So 2014 I had complete awakening, and I started like hearing voices of, I would cross people, and I could hear what exactly is going into their mind, and I could start feeling their pain more deeply. Many miraculous healing had already happening, like people were in operation theater, and I would pray for them, and they would come out of it without surgery, and they are still without any complication. 11 years passed. So I was like, there's something. So one could be like coincidence, two coincidence, like how many coincidences, right? And then 2014, when the awakening started happening, like the Kundalini awakening, if you know about it, it was like full blown. And when starts, the energy starts moving into your nadis, which is your like meridians, the block it will hit, it will come in front of you, it will manifest in front of you. And I knew that is what is happening. It is coming from my previous past perceptions, patterns. So fear, jealousy, uh, like all kinds of things which I never knew I was. It just started like, but while I was overcoming all of that, it took me like 1 year 9 months to stabilize. And while I was clearing myself, I was able to feel the pain of other people. And I felt that if I am sitting inside this corporate job, I will not be able to help anyone. I have to pluck myself out of it.
Yeah.
So that is how my journey started in 2016
I
as a
think,
full-time healer.
yeah, I think that's wonderful. I think it's wonderful. A lot of people, go have traumatic experiences, and then they they get themselves out of the traumatics, and that's how they got into the profession, into healer or speaker, whatever it is. So the fact that with you it was different, which is interesting, and it was all just, you were just, it was just showing up for you. So I love that different experiences were showing up for you in your life when you were ready for it. And then I love the story about the hyperthyroidism, that was also healed, and now you fully embraced your healer. So when people work with you online, we have 3 minutes. So when people work with you online, how does it work? They contact you over Zoom, over the phone. How does it work, and how can people get a hold of you?
So I have a website called soulfullivingllc.com, and I work with people like on like identifying the root, and then I heal them and transform them. So that is my core, and then I use my voice scan technology, and so voice scan technology gives me their acupressure points, and I'm 4,400 parameters of their health, like body, their emotional situation, like the mapping, and the life situation. So I do the counseling based on that. And then I'm also an Ayurvedic practitioner, so I studied Ayurveda, integrative nutrition, and metaphysical counseling. I did my PhD in metaphysical counseling. So I
Wow.
have like gamut of stuff. So I do like on physical body, I do like detox kits, and then I have for emotional thing, I have like a spiritual healing and meditations. I have vibrational medicines as well. So I combine all of them together, and I am able to heal like a simple to chronicest issues, like like incurables. Like I have many of those,
Yeah,
financial or health or life.
that's so wonderful. And financial is huge for a lot of people right now,
Yes,
especially, you know,
I do lots of financial level work. Lots of people
yeah.
come to me and I clear those of their patterns
Oh,
and they
good.
start making money.
Good. So, I know like right now people are really challenged with the health challenges and also financial challenges. So, tell us your website again.
SoulfulLivingLLC.com. And I have a book called Demystifying Love.
Oh,
So
beautiful.
yeah, it is on Amazon and also on my website, Demystifying Love, Saga of Unknown. And here I have all the like 13 stories, real stories, that what they were going through and what they should have been doing. And it's like a complete book. It's a story, the background story, and how you can transform it. So we have meditations and workbooks to work throughout it. So this book should be definitely be very helpful to people who want to decode what exactly is happening to them, and it can take them to the end. And if they need further follow up, I have the website, and then also have like detox kit, so you can see like I have the complete like 7. So I could probably give you all the links. You can share it with your viewers if they are interested, so that they can have like a complete detox, because your gut health is also related to your mind, right? Healthy gut
Well,
has healthy mind.
yeah.
So
Well, we're sending people to your website. Everything will be there. So we want to thank you, Dr. Divya Madan. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your healing gifts with the world. We appreciate you so much. Thank you, everybody, for listening and tuning in today to the Cornelia Stephanie Show. We'll see you again next time. Take care.
You've been listening to the Cornelia Stephanie Show, Wake Up to Love, your call to action. Tune in each week on Transformation Talk Radio. Cornelia's joy is to engage others in practical ways, showing us how to live in the new earth in harmony with our true nature. For more information on Cornelia and her extraordinary work, or to listen to past shows, go to her website at corneliastephanie.com.